Welcome to HR Deep Dive, the podcast that discusses topics for HR professionals. This episode is a part of HR Tech, and our topic of today is how AI is revolutionizing recruitment. And here with me to talk about this is Isabel Roche. She's the market insights expert, the senior market insights expert at Stepstone, Belgium. Hi, Isabel.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We're glad to have you because I have lots of questions and you have all the answers.
I hope so. I hope I have at least some of the answers.
Yes. How do you become a market insights expert, a senior?
Well, most of my job is actually looking at the labor market in Belgium and using those insights for our customers to really then help propel their jobs and really make that match with the candidates. And then I look at what are big themes that are happening in recruitment or in the labor markets, and right now it's AI. So that's
everything is AI now.
Yeah. It's a very big buzzword, and we try to provide a lot of our solutions with AI, but really also on a tangible and understandable level, because otherwise it's just a buzzword and people don't know what it means. And so we try to also explain it in a way that's simple and for customers to really see what we do on the most basic level.
Is it really a revolution?
I think the way that it's being used today, especially not only if we look at recruitment, but also in the world of work, there are a lot of ways and new tools that people are incorporating in their day-to-day life to really help make their job easier. So all these AI things, just as simple as notes being taken from your computer. So you have an AI bot that can just capture all the comments and write the meeting notes, summarize it, and then email it. All these things, which are mundane, repetitive tasks, so to speak, can be done. And so that's just in work. And then you can kind of utilize that a bit also then the processes in recruitment.
Mm-hmm. It really is important. AI, you can't ignore it. You can't say, oh, I'm not having AI in my company, because you won't play along if you don't, I can imagine.
Yeah, for sure. I think that there's a lot of difficulty to really get the adoption of AI in the workplace and to get people comfortable with it, because it's such a vast world and very hard to understand. So there is sometimes a pushback because people are afraid or don't know how to use it, but also the fear that it's going to take our jobs. So it's a bit, how do you find the balance with, okay, incorporating it and then also making the best of it without creating that fear?
For a lot of people, AI still is, oh, it's a robot, and robots are taking over, and aliens will take over.
Yes, so I think that was the first principle, so much more like robotics AI. And what we're seeing now is more the, let's say, administrative AI, which is much more accessible to all employees. And again, the example of writing the summary for your meeting, but then also helping with scheduling and just being able to include it in your day-to-day. And the way that I think is very important is not to look at AI as a replacement, but really to try to find a way to integrate it into the workflow.
Your best work friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, if we look at the recruitment process, you can divide it roughly into four categories: sourcing, screening, interview, and hire. Let's start at the beginning, the sourcing. How does AI play a role in the sourcing process?
So the first part is really, it can kind of already create a gap or look at where the gap is for that next hire. So we like to say that if you're already looking for a new employee, it's already too late, because you should have maybe known that there was that need. So there's a few ways that you can kind of use AI to create, to predict and to see where there is a need for a new hire.
AI can detect with every piece of information that it has, you need a marketing manager, you need, I don't know what.
So I think what is very cool and very useful about AI is it can analyze a large data set to a level that's unimaginable, very fast, very accurate, and then also make very good prediction based on those data sets. And when it comes to then the sourcing aspect, so that's also creating and looking at where there are those candidates in the market, where they are available. And also for us, the way we see it with the sourcing, it's looking at what the needs are and then also helping writing the job descriptions. So a bit before the job is online, you can use AI to create a basis of a job description. But that also comes with a caveat. So you always have to be careful where you first start with ChatGPT and say you're looking for a marketing manager, give me a job description. You always have to review it. I think.
Please do, because you don't know what AI will write.
Yes.
Maybe it will say you have to bake cupcakes every Friday.
Yeah. So it's very like still at a very primary level. It's very developed, but still we cannot accept it as the truth. And it's always important to have
the human touch.
Yes, exactly. And that's why it should never replace, but always just be part of.
Once again, be your best work friend, AI. After the sourcing process comes the screening. Mm-hmm. How can AI help in that department?
So you have a lot of tools, just simply taking information from a data, so from a CV. So you have CV parsing, being able to read it and put that information correctly so that then you, as a recruiter, if you have access to a CV database, you can then easily, with keywords, find those candidates. It also allows...
If they have written a good CV.
Yes, so that's twofold, right? Because then candidates need to also understand how to write a CV using the keywords, making sure that the file type is also correct. So it's not an image, but rather a PDF or a Word document.
So should it say in the job description, the screening process will happen thanks to AI, so bear in mind that you do it in this type of file, that you put in the right words, should it be in the job description?
That's a tough question, because I think that's if the company wants to kind of let open a bit their secrets. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the file type, for example, with Stepstone, we make it clear that these are the file types that are accepted, and also candidates then have access to understanding what that means. So we try to also make sure that they have the best success and the best foot forward by providing a document that they know the ATS systems or...
And it reduces bias as well in the screening process after the sourcing.
Yes, so that's one thing that you also have is the gender bias decoder. Mm-hmm. So that's something that then Stepstone developed, and that's looking at a job description, if it's posted online, looking at the language to make sure that it's on a neutral level. Mm-hmm. So if it's more masculine or feminine words, to reduce that and to provide words that are more inclusive, because...
There is such a thing as feminine words and male words?
I would say in general there is. I'm not a linguistic expert, but I can say that there are deterring factors that would maybe you would look at a job description and it could be more male-oriented or female-oriented. And it's very simple. If you have a job that uses more hard language, that may be perceived more as for male-focused.
Could be a boss lady.
Soft. I mean, and that's the goal. So that's why we need to make sure that you don't stop women or men from applying to any jobs.
After the sourcing and the screening, you get the interview. How can AI help there?
So one, it can help with creating questions. So what we see is sometimes you have a great candidate and they have their CV and it matches, but there's maybe an area that you're not so sure. So what AI can do is you can just ask, okay, this is the person's CV. This is our role that we have. Are there any questions or gaps that you can identify that would be good to ask? Because
find the weak spots.
Find the weak spots, but it's also very hard to put all the information on one piece of paper. And so with the AI, you can create very good interview questions and really look deeper. And then you also have video interviews. So you can then use AI to look at body language, posture, the way that a person is responding. And it really can look at all those small physiological changes. And I think that's part of the interview process, and making sure that, on the other hand, also candidates have a response. So you have the interview, but you also have the ability for candidates to ask questions themselves back and to have a response if not everyone is available to respond. So more like a chatbot.
After the interview, you have the hiring process. You decide, and of course, that's a human touch, who to hire. How is AI helping in that final step of the recruitment process?
So one of the steps, and that's, I think, the hardest point, or I would say the most frustrating point from a candidate, is not receiving a response back, whether it's an acceptance or rejection.
That is super frustrating.
So with this, at least you can have an automated system where, yeah, it's very basic, but you can also are able to personalize it, so then candidates can receive that acceptance or the rejection offer. And then also for the hiring stage to look at salary benchmarks, so really seeing if the fit of the person or what they're asking for makes sense in terms of salary-wise. And there's a lot of different ways then after, once you've hired or done the selection phase, that goes into then onboarding and forward.
You work at Stepstone, Belgium. Do you implement everything you just talked about in that whole recruitment process?
So we focus first on making sure that job descriptions are well written. So we do, as mentioned, have the gender bias decoder, which really looks at minimalizing certain types of words and really looking for the inclusivity. And then our whole platform is actually AI powered. So we really look to, our goal is always to make the perfect match. And we do that using AI. So really having an algorithm that takes all the information of a candidate. So we kind of build this persona of them.
Is it faultless?
It's primarily, it starts with errors, but what is so good about AI and what we have is that it's self-optimizing. So every single time it will always be better, and it continuously
smarter, better,
works to improve. And so that's something that then you start seeing with a candidate that's reoccurring on the website and applying to different jobs. We can then keep gaining all that data, putting it together, and then creating a persona of a person and really then providing them the right job at the right company.
Because the stakes are high for yourself. You set the mark at we are looking for the perfect match for every hire. Wow.
And I think
that's quite a lot.
It's quite a lot. And what we mean is, I think there's always the expectation. First of all, it's not that there's a perfect person and they're right off the bat ready to work, but it's really looking for someone that matches the company culture, matches the values, but also the skills that are required for the role. And also, I think one of the main things that people look for nowadays, aside from salary, is having growth opportunities. And that's what you also try to look at. So you're not just getting someone to be hired, but really getting someone to have a career. And I think that's what we kind of look for.
Okay, and you're happy with the results so far at Stepstone?
I think I personally really enjoy the workplace and the motivation that everyone has. And we also see then the results and the discussions with our customers as well, that of course it's a complicated market right now with the economic uncertainties and all of that, but you still have the ones, if they're looking for jobs, that they really, see that there is also the human touch that we provide with our service, and then also the platform and using AI. And I think more and more also they're starting to understand and see the benefits.
Thank you for that look behind how Stepstone applies AI in their recruitment process and talk about it in general. Isabel Roche, Senior Market Insights Expert at Stepstone, Belgium. This was HR Deep Dive, the podcast that discusses topics for HR professionals, and this episode was a part of HR Tech, and the topic today was AI in recruitment and how it revolutionizes that recruitment. Isabel, we talked about AI. Did you get to say everything you wanted?
I think so. I mean, AI is such a vast world that I don't think there's enough time to even talk about everything. But
yeah. One thing that you said, I keep still thinking about it, is that you say that people don't have to be scared that AI will replace them. But aren't you really, 1 minute before you go to sleep, maybe a little bit afraid that you will get replaced by AI one day?
I think that there always is that fear, but the most important thing is to remember that we can adapt and learn. And I think for me, one of my favorite things, a good day is a day when I've learned something. So I always look at, okay, if I know that there's the potential that AI could take my job, what are then things that I can learn and improve on to make sure that that doesn't happen? So I think it's always about upskilling and really making sure that you're ready and keeping being developed. And that's then something that also employees and employers can incorporate in the workplace. So making sure that then
You're one step ahead of AI.
exactly. Yeah.
Outsmart AI.
Yes, yeah. After all, we're the ones that are creating it, so let's make sure that we stay like that.
Don't make AI too smart.